You may be under an attack right now, and you wouldn't even know it. Your photo could be used for dark purposes, unknowingly trapping your spirit and affecting your life for years. My name is Raphael Mena, and for over 2 decades I was deeply involved in the occult. I grew up surrounded by it, learning its hidden secrets and witnessing firsthand how witchcraft could destroy lives. Many people dismiss it as superstition, but I can tell you this: one of the most common methods used by witches is stealing someone's spiritual identity through their photos. In today's world, social media has become the biggest tool for them to collect spiritual material. While you're posting photos, you might unknowingly be offering a window for malevolent forces to enter your life. Throughout this video, I will discuss 10 signs that might indicate your photo is being used to harm you. If you're noticing any of these symptoms, it's critical you take action, which I'll guide you through later. But first, leave a comment below telling me which country you're watching this from. I want to know how far this message is reaching. I want to share something personal with you. For years, I lived in a small town where beliefs rooted in witchcraft were passed down from generation to generation. In many areas, people still rely on spiritual healers to make important life decisions. Business deals, relationships, even health decisions. All these often go through someone considered a spiritual guide. These leaders claim to have dominion over life and death, and one of the darkest methods they use is what I call spiritual theft, taking someone's identity, often through their photograph. When I was younger, I never thought much about it, but over time I saw how dangerous it really was. You don't need a personal item anymore to invoke someone spiritually. Just a photo, yes, a simple picture, is enough to bind someone's spiritual essence. With the rise of social media, it's easier than ever for someone to access your image. I've seen it firsthand. Photos of strangers bought at local markets, photos in forgotten albums, discarded documents. All of these can be turned into weapons for dark purposes. In some places like Madagascar, where I come from, witchcraft is not just a secret practice, it's part of the culture. It's deeply ingrained in the beliefs of many regions, where people turn to witches or spiritual leaders for everything from success in business to seeking revenge on enemies. But what many don't realize is that these rituals often involve the use of photographs. Before I share the full story, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment and let me know where you're all watching this video from. I believe your presence here is no accident. It's an answer to prayer. In the past, sorcerers would require something personal from the victim, a strand of hair, a piece of clothing, or something that carried the energy of the person. But as the years passed, they realized that they no longer needed physical items. A single photograph is enough to create a spiritual connection. Social media has become the ultimate field for gathering this material. You might post a picture of yourself thinking it's just a casual share, but there could be others out there who are using your image for dark rituals. I've seen it happen many times. People unknowingly share their photos online, and soon after, their lives begin to spiral. What they don't realize is that once someone with ill intent gets their hands on an image, it can be used to spiritually manipulate them. In some cases, the photo is taken to a sacrificial altar, a place where rituals are performed to curse or bind the victim. This altar could be a simple space in a witch's home, or it could be something more elaborate in the woods, caves, or even cemeteries. When your photo is placed on such an altar, the spiritual forces begin to manipulate your life. The first thing that usually happens is a feeling of stagnation. Doors that were once open begin to close. Opportunities that seemed like they were within reach suddenly vanish. The person starts feeling like they are walking in circles, unable to make progress, no matter how hard they try. In the worst cases, health problems begin to appear. What once was normal becomes unbearable. And it all starts because of a photo, something as simple as a snapshot. One of the most common symptoms that indicate your photo is being used against you is a deep sense of inexplicable rejection. This may start subtly, with people beginning to avoid you without any clear reason. Friends who used to enjoy your company suddenly become distant. You may find yourself excluded from social gatherings or even from family events. The most puzzling part? No one has said anything directly to you, yet you feel this cold, invisible wall around you. I've seen this firsthand in the life of a man from a village in southern Madagascar. He was well respected, a loving father, and a successful businessman. But one day, everything changed. His wife began treating him coldly, and his children, once close, started avoiding him. His neighbors, who had been his friends for years, became distant and unfriendly. He couldn't understand why. It wasn't until he sought help from a spiritual leader that the truth was revealed. Someone had used his photo in a witchcraft ritual, and his spiritual identity had been altered. He didn't just feel rejected, he was spiritually manipulated, and the curse of rejection was working through his image. Rejection, however, is just one sign that your photo might have been manipulated for witchcraft. Another powerful indicator is when you begin dreaming of strange rituals or ceremonies that you've never experienced in real life. These types of dreams often have a deeper meaning than what's on the surface, and they can be a gateway into the spiritual battle happening around you. One woman I met shared a troubling experience. For months, she had recurring dreams of being in a candlelit room, participating in some kind of dark ceremony. In some dreams, she was holding an unfamiliar object, while in others, she was speaking an unknown language with a group of people. At first, she brushed these off as just strange dreams, but over time, she began to notice an alarming pattern in her waking life. She felt more and more disconnected from her reality. She was losing energy, becoming weaker, and her relationships were beginning to suffer. When she finally sought spiritual guidance, it was revealed that her photo had been used in a ritual, and her spiritual identity had been called into the spirit world without her consent. These rituals can be highly disturbing, not just in the dreams, but in the waking world as well. They manifest as an ongoing battle that can drain your strength, leaving you feeling confused and spiritually exhausted. If you've experienced dreams where you are part of rituals or ceremonies, holding unfamiliar objects, or performing acts you don't understand, this is a serious sign that your identity might be under attack. Another powerful sign that something is off is when you start experiencing physical sensations that don't have any logical explanation. One of the most common signs among victims of witchcraft is the feeling of a heavy weight on their face, almost as if they are wearing an invisible mask. This sensation is not just an odd feeling, it's a spiritual sign that your identity may be under manipulation. I met a man named Kavi who experienced this sensation so strongly that it affected his entire life. He told me that one day, out of nowhere, he started feeling an unusual pressure on his face, especially around his eyes and forehead. He described it as though he was wearing a heavy mask that he couldn't remove. At first, he ignored it, thinking it was just stress or fatigue. But over time, the pressure intensified, and when he looked at his reflection, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. His face seemed different, as if distorted, but he couldn't quite place why. Things started to get worse. His friends began to treat him differently, and even his family seemed to look at him with a sense of discomfort, as if they were seeing someone else entirely. It wasn't until Kavi sought spiritual guidance that the truth came out. His photo had been placed on a witch's altar, and his spiritual identity was being altered. His face had been spiritually exchanged in a ritual, and in the spiritual realm, he was no longer seen as the successful man he once was, but rather as someone destined for failure. This type of manipulation isn't just about social rejection. It's a deeper spiritual alteration that impacts how others perceive you, even when they're not consciously aware of it. When your face is spiritually replaced, people may be repelled by you without understanding why. Your opportunities become blocked, and the doors that once seemed open to you start closing one by one. If you've been feeling this weight on your face, or if others are suddenly avoiding you for reasons you can't explain, It's possible that your spiritual identity has been manipulated. If you've been feeling rejected or like something is blocking your life, this next sign might hit even closer to home: the sensation of spiderwebs on your face. You might be walking down the street, sitting at home, or even lying in bed, when suddenly you feel as though something invisible has brushed against your skin. It's the strange sensation of a web touching your face, except when you check, there's nothing there. You try to brush it off, but the sensation keeps returning, almost as if you're being followed by something unseen. This experience is far from coincidental. It's one of the most common signs of spiritual manipulation. Many people who have suffered from witchcraft attacks report similar sensations, particularly when they're about to make significant progress in their lives. It's as though these attacks are designed to distract them, pulling their attention away from their goals and making them lose focus. I've heard countless stories of people who felt this invisible web on their faces, particularly those who were on the brink of something great. One such case is of a young woman named Amina. She had been praying for years for a breakthrough in her career, and things were starting to look promising, but every time she tried to get closer to her dreams, the sensation of spiderwebs on her face would appear. It would disrupt her focus, make her feel anxious, and completely drain her energy. She eventually discovered that her photo had been used in a ritual to block her spiritual growth, keeping her trapped in a cycle of setbacks. This web sensation is a spiritual attack meant to hinder your progress. It's often used to drain your energy, making it harder for you to focus, pray, or pursue your goals. It's a form of spiritual monitoring, something that watches you, waits for the right moment, and tries to divert your attention from what matters. If you've experienced this strange sensation, take note. It's not just a random occurrence. It's a sign that something dark is trying to slow you down, prevent you from moving forward, and block your blessings. One of the most frightening signs that your spiritual identity is under attack is hearing your name being called when no one is around. This is more than just a creepy coincidence. It's a sign that your spiritual essence is being summoned for a ritual. Picture this. You're home alone, everything is quiet, and suddenly you hear your name called out. You turn around, but no one is there. Or perhaps you're walking down the street, lost in thought, and you hear someone call your name clearly. But when you look around, there's no one in sight. When this happens, it's easy to dismiss it as a strange occurrence, but in the spiritual realm, this is often a sign of manipulation. In the time I spent in the occult, I saw firsthand how sorcerers use this technique to establish a connection with their victims. When a photo is placed on an evil altar, sorcerers will often call the victim's name repeatedly during rituals. This is done to invoke their spiritual presence, weaken their resistance, and make them more vulnerable to spiritual manipulation. I remember a man from a nearby town who came to me, disturbed and confused. He told me that for weeks he had been hearing his name called out at random times, with no one around to speak it. At first he thought it was just a coincidence, but soon he began to feel more disconnected from reality. His health started to deteriorate, and his life felt as though it was spiraling out of control. It wasn't until he consulted with a spiritual leader that he learned the truth. His photo had been placed on a witch's altar, and the constant calling of his name was part of a ritual to draw him into the spiritual realm. If this has happened to you, don't ignore it. Hearing your name called by an invisible force is not just a random event. It's a signal that someone has invoked your spiritual identity, trying to bind you to a curse. This is one of the clearest signs that your photo may be used for evil purposes. If you hear your name being called and don't know where the voice came from, resist the urge to respond. The best action is to stay silent, pray, and break that spiritual connection immediately, declaring, "In the name of Jesus, I rebuke any spiritual summons and break every chain," is a powerful way to protect yourself. Now let's talk about a particularly unsettling experience, when your dreams of success seem to turn into nightmares in real life. Imagine this. You've been working hard, making plans, and seeing everything fall into place. You dream of a promotion, a financial breakthrough, or an important relationship blossoming. But when you wake up, something feels off. In the real world, your dreams start to crumble. The promotion you dreamed about is handed to someone else. Your finances take an unexpected downturn, and the relationships you've been nurturing begin to unravel for no clear reason. This isn't just a series of bad luck, it's a sign of spiritual manipulation. Many victims of witchcraft experience this cycle where their dreams, which initially seem full of promise, are stolen away just before they come to fruition. In the occult, there are spiritual attacks designed to block blessings before they can manifest in the physical world. If you've experienced this kind of cycle where every positive dream leads to negative outcomes, your spiritual identity may be under attack. I met a man named Jacques who lived in a quiet village. Jacques was an ambitious man, full of hope for his future. He had been dreaming about a new business opportunity, and his hard work was finally paying off. But just when he thought things were falling into place, every plan he made began to fall apart. He lost business deals, experienced unexpected financial losses, and even saw personal relationships begin to deteriorate. The most disturbing part? Every time he dreamed of success, it seemed to slip further away. It wasn't until he sought spiritual help that he realized his photo had been used in a witchcraft ritual to block his progress. This is the reality for many who face spiritual attacks. These attacks can block your blessings before they even have a chance to reach you. The enemy works in the shadows, watching for your breakthrough and then stepping in to prevent it. If this has happened to you, if your dreams of success always seem to fade into disappointment, it's crucial to recognize that this is a spiritual issue, not just bad luck. The good news is that there's a way to break this cycle. With the right spiritual intervention, you can overcome these obstacles and reclaim what was stolen from you. Another clear sign that your life is being spiritually manipulated is when you experience sudden and inexplicable forgetfulness. At first, it may seem like nothing more than a little distraction or a sign of stress, but over time, it can become a more serious issue. You might find yourself forgetting important details, like a key meeting or an appointment. Perhaps you forget where you put your keys, or you suddenly can't remember a conversation you had earlier in the day. As these moments of forgetfulness pile up, you may begin to realize that something is off. This kind of mental confusion isn't just the result of a busy life or a momentary lapse in concentration. It's a common symptom of spiritual manipulation. During my time in the occult, I saw how photos could be used in rituals to spiritually block someone's mind, making it harder for them to think clearly, make decisions, or remember important details. I've spoken with countless people who faced this issue without knowing the root cause, and many of them were shocked when they discovered their photo had been used in such a way. I'll never forget a businessman I met named Lucas. He was a successful entrepreneur who had a sharp mind and a knack for making quick decisions. But one day, things started to change. He found himself forgetting simple tasks, missing deadlines, and making poor business decisions without understanding why. His memory began to fail him, and he couldn't seem to focus on his work. This confusion took a toll on his business and his relationships. It wasn't until Lucas sought spiritual guidance that he discovered someone had used his photo to cast a spell of mental confusion. His mind had been spiritually manipulated to keep him from reaching his full potential. If you've been experiencing unexplained forgetfulness, particularly in situations that require concentration, this is a clear sign that you might be under spiritual attack. Your mind is one of your most powerful assets, and when it's under attack, it can cause you to lose focus and miss opportunities. But there's good news. You don't have to live with this confusion. Through prayer and spiritual intervention, you can break free from these attacks and restore your mental clarity. Extreme fatigue without any logical explanation is another sign that something spiritually sinister may be at play. Have you ever woken up feeling like you haven't rested at all, even after a full night's sleep? No matter how much you sleep, the exhaustion doesn't go away. You feel drained, as if you've been working all day long, even though you've done nothing out of the ordinary. This constant, unexplained fatigue is not just physical, it's often a reflection of a deeper spiritual issue. During my time in the occult, I witnessed how witchcraft can drain a person's energy without them even realizing it. A photo is often used as a vessel in these kinds of attacks, siphoning off your vitality and leaving you spiritually weak. The goal is simple: to break you down emotionally, mentally, and physically. If you've experienced this kind of exhaustion where no amount of sleep seems to help, it's a powerful indication that someone has used your photo to spiritually bind you and drain your life force. One woman I met, named Lila, told me that for months she had felt this overwhelming fatigue. She would wake up tired even after a full night's rest. Her body felt heavy, and she struggled to get through her day. Despite trying everything she could, eating well, exercising, and taking time to rest, nothing seemed to help. Her health began to deteriorate, and she couldn't understand why. After seeking spiritual counsel, she learned that her photo had been placed on a sorcerer's altar to spiritually drain her. This attack had left her physically and emotionally exhausted, preventing her from moving forward in life. If this is something you're experiencing, know that this isn't just normal fatigue. It's a spiritual attack designed to weaken your will and make you feel as if you can't go on. But the good news is, just like every other spiritual attack, this one can be broken. Through prayer, fasting, and seeking spiritual guidance, you can regain your strength and break free from the spiritual manipulation that is draining your energy. One of the most unsettling signs that you're being spiritually manipulated is the difficulty in praying or fasting. Many people who are under spiritual attack find that they struggle to pray or fast as they once did. You may have had a strong prayer life in the past, but suddenly, when you try to pray, you feel an overwhelming weight on you. It's as if the words just don't come. Your mind begins to wander, and you lose focus, no matter how hard you try to connect with God. It's not just about feeling distracted. There's a deeper spiritual battle happening. When your photo is used in a witchcraft ritual, it can create a spiritual barrier that prevents your prayers from being effective. This barrier weakens your spiritual connection, making it difficult to reach God. People who experience this kind of attack often feel as though something is physically holding them back from connecting with God. Some may even feel a sense of fear or oppression when they try to pray or fast. I met a man named Daniel who shared his experience with me. He had always been a strong man of faith, but suddenly, whenever he tried to pray, he would feel a deep sense of discouragement. His prayers felt empty, and he struggled to focus on God. When he tried to fast, the hunger he felt was almost unbearable, and he experienced a deep sense of fatigue. It wasn't until he sought spiritual counsel that he realized his photo had been placed on an evil altar, and his spiritual connection was being blocked. The spiritual manipulation had created a barrier that prevented him from experiencing the power of prayer and fasting. If you've been feeling this way, struggling to pray or fast with the same intensity and focus as before, it's time to recognize that this is not just a phase. It's a sign that your spiritual identity is being manipulated. The good news is, this can be broken. By seeking God through intense prayer and fasting, you can dismantle the spiritual barriers that are preventing you from connecting with Him. Your prayers will once again be effective, and your relationship with God will be restored. Now let's talk about something that many people experience, but rarely understand the full significance of: the sensation of being watched. This feeling can be incredibly unsettling, especially when it's persistent and unexplainable. You might be going about your day, at work, or even at home, and suddenly you feel as though someone is staring at you, even when no one is around. It's as if eyes are on you at all times, watching your every move. This feeling isn't just an odd sensation, it's a powerful sign of spiritual surveillance. When your photo is used in witchcraft rituals, the energy that is tied to that image can be used to monitor your life. The sorcerers or spiritual manipulators who are using your photo may be keeping an eye on you spiritually, tracking your movements and actions in the physical world. This constant spiritual monitoring can create a feeling of paranoia, anxiety, and fear. I met a young woman named Sophia who felt this exact sensation for months. No matter where she went, whether she was at work, out with friends, or even at home with her family, she felt like someone was watching her. It wasn't just a passing thought. She felt it deep in her bones, as though there were eyes constantly following her. It became so intense that she couldn't concentrate or relax. She thought she was losing her mind, but then she discovered that someone had used her photo in a ritual to spiritually monitor her every move. The energy from her image was being used to track her, leaving her feeling vulnerable and exposed. If this sensation of being watched has been bothering you, take it seriously. It's a sign that something dark is attempting to invade your life. You don't need to live in fear, though. By praying and breaking any spiritual connections tied to your image, you can put an end to this surveillance and regain your peace of mind. The enemy's eyes may be watching, but God's protection is far greater, and He will cover you if you seek His help. Let's now address one of the most alarming and frequent signs that something is wrong: sudden and inexplicable financial difficulties. You may have noticed that despite your hard work and dedication, your financial life keeps spiraling out of control. Opportunities that seem perfect suddenly fall apart. You get close to closing a deal, only for it to slip through your fingers. Business ventures seem to collapse without warning, and the more you try to move forward, the further behind you fall. This isn't just a string of bad luck. This is a spiritual attack. When your photo is used in witchcraft, it can be spiritually manipulated to block your finances and prevent prosperity from reaching you. The enemy knows that financial blessings are a powerful tool in your life. By blocking your financial growth, they can keep you in a constant state of struggle and frustration. It's an attack on your ability to thrive and succeed. I remember a man named Tomas, a successful entrepreneur who had built his business from the ground up. Everything seemed to be going well until one day, without explanation, his business began to falter. Sales plummeted, clients stopped coming in, and his once thriving company began to shut down. No matter how hard he worked, he couldn't seem to get ahead. When Tomas sought spiritual help, he discovered that his photo had been used in a ritual to block his finances. This manipulation had been occurring for months, and he had no idea why his success was suddenly being sabotaged. If you've been facing financial struggles that seem to have no clear cause, or if opportunities are constantly slipping through your fingers, it's time to recognize the signs. This could be a result of spiritual manipulation. The good news is that with prayer, fasting, and spiritual intervention, you can break these financial blockages. You don't have to stay in this cycle of struggle forever. Your prosperity is not determined by spiritual forces. It is in God's hands, and He can restore what has been stolen from you. 10. Difficulty making important decisions. Have you ever felt lost, unable to make clear decisions even when the answer seems obvious? This is a serious spiritual sign. When your photo is used in witchcraft rituals, the attacks can manifest as a block in your ability to make decisions. Decisions that once felt easy become immensely difficult. You find yourself indecisive, paralyzed, unsure of which direction to take, and even small things start turning into dilemmas. I remember a man named Andrew, a prosperous businessman who had always made quick and clear decisions. But at a certain point, everything changed. He started to feel completely lost, unable to make even the simplest decisions. He couldn't choose between work opportunities or even personal matters. His indecision was so intense that he missed out on major business opportunities. When he sought spiritual help, he found out that his photo had been used in a ritual to block his clarity. The spiritual attack was paralyzing his mind, preventing him from taking action in the way he once did. If you also feel that your ability to make decisions has been compromised, it's important to recognize that this could be a manifestation of a spiritual attack. The purpose of this manipulation is to weaken your confidence and sense of direction. The good news is that through prayer and spiritual intervention, you can restore your mental clarity and take back control over your life. Now that you've learned about the 10 signs of spiritual manipulation through photos, it's important to understand that there is no need to fear. These attacks may be powerful, but they are not stronger than the protection you have in God. If you recognize any of these signs in your life, know that you have the power to break these spiritual chains. The enemy may try, but God's authority over your life is infinitely greater. In any spiritual battle, prayer is your greatest weapon. Do not allow your spirit to continue being manipulated. Today, you can declare your freedom, renew your strength, and restore everything that has been stolen from you. Through prayer, God's power can break any curse, destroy any altar of witchcraft, and restore your peace and prosperity. So, to wrap things up, let's quickly go over the 10 signs that might indicate your photo has been used in spiritual manipulation. Inexplicable rejection from those around you, friends, family, even co-workers. Strange dreams where you're caught in unfamiliar rituals or serving unknown people. A sensation of wearing an invisible mask, where your face feels heavy or distorted. The feeling of spiderwebs on your face, as if something invisible is brushing against you. Hearing your name being called when no one is around. Dreams of success that suddenly turn into real-life setbacks and obstacles. Forgetfulness or mental confusion, making it harder to focus or remember important things. Extreme fatigue, no matter how much you sleep or rest. Difficulty praying or fasting, feeling disconnected from your spiritual practices. Inexplicable blockages that stop you from moving forward in your career or personal life. These signs are a call to action, a signal that something deeper might be happening in the spiritual realm. If any of these feel familiar, don't ignore them. Recognizing these symptoms is the first step to taking back control of your life. Remember, you are not alone. With prayer, spiritual awareness, and God's guidance, you can break free from any attack and restore peace in your life. Stay vigilant, stay protected, and know that God has the power to overcome anything trying to hold you back. I invite you now to join me in prayer. No matter what you are facing, God has the power to change your situation. Let's pray for protection, freedom, and total restoration in your life. Prayer. Lord, in the name of Jesus, I come before you, acknowledging your authority over my life. Lord, I declare that no evil shall prevail against me, for my identity is protected in you. I renounce all works of witchcraft, all spiritual manipulation, and every attempt to bind me in curses. I break every witchcraft altar and declare that my life, my future, and my identity are in your hands. Lord, cover me with your precious blood and restore all that has been stolen from me. From this day forward, I declare my freedom and protect my image and life with the armor of God. Let every spiritual power that rises against me be destroyed, and let me walk in peace, confidence, and prosperity. In the name of Jesus, amen. Before we finish, I want to remind you that we've got fresh videos every single day, each one filled with insights to help you grow stronger in faith. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of our daily content. It's all here to help you live a more fulfilled and empowered life. I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and share a thought or a story that's made a difference in your life. Let's keep building this community, one where we can encourage each other and grow together in strength and faith. Your voice truly matters, and your engagement helps us reach more people who need to hear this message. Thank you for being part of this journey with me. I'm here with you every step of the way, and I'm excited for the next time we can connect. Until then, keep your trust in God's plan, stay encouraged, and know that He's got amazing things in store for you.